as a competitive person, I'm for sure talking smack to that guy.
Who's winning Anaheim 1?
I'm going to go with Jett or Hunter.
Hunter in the top 3.
Those dudes right now are ripping, especially Hunter.
I think Deegan can start in 15th every race and march his way to the front.
Jett Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence are probably the most business savvy athletes I've ever met.
I think he's in all their heads.
What portion of the market share are you hoping to get with Moto being kind of the backbone of the app?
Put your money where your
mouth is type thing. That Deegan finishes higher position than Jett at A1.
I think Bear's going to have a problem with that one.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
No.
What's going on, guys? I'm Degidio, and we are back with another episode of the Jaxxon Sports Podcast. I'm sitting here with the greatest co-host of all time. I will say this. On the last podcast we did, people are heavily confusing you with the Godfather, Mike Metzger, not the grandfather, Twitch Stenberg. So I just want to be very specific. This is the grandfather, Twitch Stenberg. And we have a very special guest, Chad from Bets On.
Yeah!
Fire it up a little bit. Fire it up a little bit. The fastest, the most dynamic social wagering platform system I've ever seen. Probably one of the most disruptive apps when it comes to peer-to-peer contest and wagering. It is a very, very unique product that this guy has been able to put together. And I love kind of the cornerstone of it around Moto and what you guys got going on here. Twitch thought this would be a phenomenal episode to bring you on here and kind of just talk to us about business and what you got going on. A lot of the audience, they normally hear about some of the best moto racers of all time and some of the dopest dudes that ride wheelies and drive in stunt cars. But I think today is a cool little switch up to give our audience a little background on business, what it takes to be an entrepreneur and what it takes to build something that's probably going to disrupt a $20 billion industry here.
That's what we're hoping for. Well, thank you very much for having me on. The Bets On project's been in the making for quite a few years now. We originally started out as Moto Bookie. My daughter was at A1 probably 4 or 5 years ago, and some drunk dude in front of us was talking smack. She was willing to bet my money on Jett Lawrence. And
smart bet.
So long story short, the way it played out, he ended up winning and gentlemen paid us. And my daughter kind of looked at me and said, we need to create some sort of platform where people can talk smack, wager against other peers, take all the middleman nonsense out and just let people kind of quote unquote talk shit and place wagers. And that's kind of how it came along.
Because honestly, like every time I'm up in any of the suites, everyone's wagering. Everyone's like, oh, right on the moment. Like, hey, I'll $20 on kitchen right now for the whole shot, or $20 kitchen whole shots and leads and wins the race. Like, so to be able to have something to go to and like for your social media to see, there's so many people that will want to wager against you. And I just think it's like a brilliant idea.
Yeah. And I think it gives people an opportunity, to have fun with it. You know, a lot of times people are just betting against the house. You push one button, your money's gone, and that's the end of it.
Yep.
Whereas in here, you can get into our messaging space. You can talk smack. You can encourage people to wager on different things outside of what's on the wager card. And like I said, you're eliminating the house odds. You're taking away the edge and just taking pure fans and saying, hey, my guy's Jett Lawrence, your guy's Eli Tomac. Let's put some cash on it.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is
type thing.
I love that because I love talking crap. So I'm looking forward to getting on this app during Supercross and putting some wagers down. And is there a limit of like how many wagers you can have, or can you do whatever you want?
Yeah, I mean the up to about $1,000. After that, most of the wagers we're seeing are between $10 and $20.
Yep.
So
which is perfect. But like, can I wager against 25 people that day?
Yeah, you can.
Know, like that's because I want to be able to like, how people are. Like people are like, no, I'm a Deegan, I'm a Jett, right. I'm Tomac. So it's like you're gonna have everyone talking crap against each other on this app and wanting to place wagers. Like, oh, well, you think your guy's so bad? I'll take this wager.
Yeah. So you'll be able to wager pretty much against as many people as you would like. We did implement a cool feature this year where you can cross bet. So, for example, at A1, if you had to put your money up, who finishes higher, Deegan or Jett?
I'm going Jett.
You're going Jett?
100%. Well, if they're in the same class.
No. But we've set it up to where you can actually place that bet. They don't need to be in the same.
It doesn't matter if you're
a 450 or 250. So we're switching it up and allowing people to go, okay.
It's just more options.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I would tell you right now, I'll take that bet. I think Jett's got some things that he's still figuring out, and I think Deegan's going to be absolutely unstoppable. So I'd be willing to go on there and say, I'll take $100 that Deegan finishes higher position than Jett at A1.
I think Bear's going to have a problem with that one.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
No. And I'm a Jett fan. Don't get me wrong.
Jett is the fastest racer to ever ride on two wheels.
But I see where you're coming from, hearing all the things from the off season with bikes and testing and all that. So,
and the thing we found really interesting is the people that genuinely follow the sport. You'll see some crazy wagers, and you're going, okay, well, what do they know that I don't know?
Yeah, right.
For example,
Insider trading.
A little insider trading. I'm curious to see when we get some mechanics and dudes at the test track, then you start looking at wagers and going, huh, that's interesting. What happened there?
Yeah.
I'm taking Mookie to beat Eli at round 1.
Yep.
I think he's got the Husky figured out.
Dude, he rode so good the last few races overseas. He rode
good overseas, and I think he's going to come into A1 and put a smacking on Eli. I've gotten some pushback on the app about that, but I'm sticking to it.
I think this year's going to be gnarly with how many dudes you have in the 450 class, how many dudes you have in the lights class, Deegan moving up for outdoors. So it's like there's going to be a lot of good wagering going on this year because a lot of people are diehard to their guy, you know?
Yeah.
I look at like the global sports market of betting and wagering and the way people operate, and it's like a $110 billion industry. By 2035, it'll be a $300 billion industry.
Yeah.
And the market is set up where it's growing at a rapid rate because people are being able to wager and being able to talk about things they have passion for while having a little bit of competitive advantage. I think it makes viewing a sport or a game a lot more exciting, right? What made you originally come up with this idea where you're sitting there saying, okay, I want to be able to take kind of the house out of the equation and let the peer-to-peer wagering kind of stand still on its own as the business endeavor? Because this is a first of its kind where people are betting and wagering and operating amongst each other without a house being involved because they're not setting lines. There's no kind of rake. There's no system where the house comes in and kind of deviates what the bet is or the wager.
So the first initial kind of outside of my daughter was we would go on YouTube together and we'd watch some of the UFC stuff where they live streamed it on YouTube, like where they'd blur out the content, but you could watch the chat kind of scrolling down. And I'm looking at it and there's a million people in the chat going, hey, so-and-so, I'll bet you $100, for example, Connor wins the fight. Guy later on down the chat goes, great, I'll take that bet. I'll Zell you afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, you and I both know if I lose $100 in a chat room, all I'm going to do is close out YouTube.
And I don't know you.
So I'm looking at it to my daughter and I go, well, what if we did have something that was active in real time like that, where when you make that statement, hey, I'll bet you $100, you can just send the guy the wager, engage in the wager instantly and create an environment where people are just able to wager against each other. Going back to the profitability of the, potentially being a $300 billion industry. Well, they don't make $300 billion off of winners. They build $300 billion off of losers.
Yeah.
And so I think another aspect is looking at what's going on in sports in general. They're kind of exposing the point shaving and all the things that go on in professional sports. Well, it's all tied into wagering. Professional sports and wagering go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so it's a corruption. It's a scam, just like a lot of things in life. And I told my daughter, let's just create something where the genuine true fan can just bet against another fan and that we have no stake in the outcome.
Yeah.
I just want to play a cool platform.
You can't dictate what's going to happen.
And look, if I want to be the bookie, the guy that goes, hey, I'll give you plus 500 on O'Malley. Okay, I can play banker on bets on. I'll put my 500 up against your 50 and give you 10-1 odds if I'm that convinced that, for example, O'Malley's going to win the fight. So I'm just giving the public the ability to be their own bookie, to create their own destiny, as opposed to, put their money in where then the odds are skewed.
Yeah, I love it.
So in terms of sports, for example, football, which is, European soccer, it holds about 50% of the market share, followed by horse racing, which is in the US a huge play.
Yeah.
And then, they say that Americans are expected to legally wager around $30 billion a season in the NFL.
Correct.
What portion of the market share are you hoping to get with Moto being kind of the backbone of the app and starting off with that? Did you have a passion for Moto? Because Moto's not even on the top 5. So it seems like you found a really good calling, a really good niche to kind of pierce the market.
So going back to the business aspect, this thing's been self-funded by dad, so we're looking at Moto as an entry point to let people see what the app can do, what it can offer. Eventually our goal is to transition into those other sports, but I know that Moto's an industry that you can break into by reaching out, like how I met you, and just being able to reach out to people. I know that my chances of DMing LeBron and saying, "Hey bro, I got this cool idea. Can you hear me out?"
Yeah.
So I went to my daughter and said, let's start realistically with a sport with an easier barrier to entry. But we do offer all those major sports on the app, and we're also gearing up big time for the World Cup. I've been to some international soccer games, and it's absolutely insane. You've never seen energy like that before. And having a platform where you can say, hey, all the Brazilians that is going against Team Mexico, hey, go on to Betson. You can talk smack, you can represent your country, and you don't need any middleman in the middle. So we're gearing up big time for World Cup. We think it's going to be explosive. We hope.
In the U.S., football is 50% of the market, and then the other 50% of the market's divided almost evenly between hockey, baseball, basketball, and horse racing. Small little segment goes to cricket. Are there other types of sports that you think besides Moto, because of the barrier to entry and how you guys are able to kind of pierce it a lot quicker, that you guys are going to attack next?
I would tell you it's not on that list, but UFC. I think UFC, MMA.
Yeah.
I think
in general MMA or specifically just UFC?
I think specifically UFC, because that's becoming kind of the name brand, the household name for MMA.
It's the name.
It's the name. I think that it's going to be, if it's not the fastest growing sport. And I think the individual one-on-one sports, people like to gamble against people.
Oh, 100%.
When it comes to teams, it's a little bit more watered down. People are like, I'll take the Broncos to beat so-and-so. But when it comes to MMA, you get your diehard Brazilians, you get your diehard fans that go, hey, I'm just going to bet on my guy. And the first couple runs we had with putting UFC on the app, it went really, really well.
How does the social wagering work in terms of, like, if I want to go make some sort of contest against myself in Twitch, do I have to tell Twitch, hey Twitch, I like this fight coming up, I think Armin Sarukian's gonna beat up Dan Hooker, and then I go on the app, I create that, or does the app already preload all these fights and events?
No, we're preloading the fighters and the event. We're not doing any matchups. We're not suggesting any matchups. When you go on there, you'll look at the UFC, whatever number it is. All the fighters are listed, and you create your own wager card.
That is dope.
So there's no lines on the app.
There's no. You're creating everything from top to bottom. What odds you want to give? Do you want the guy to win by submission? Do you think you'll have more takedowns? Do you think you'll have more strikes?
And I can make up each of those outcomes.
Every single one of those is on there. You click on there. You click the plus minus button. If you say, hey, I think Merab's going to have 4.5 more takedowns in this fight, you put that wager, you send it to the wager board, and you can either put it on the wager board for the general public to see, or in this example, you could send it to Twitch and go, hey, here's the wager, you want to take it or not?
Or you can post it to your social media.
And
then let everyone come.
And let everyone.
Is this the first social wagering app that allows you to predetermine matchups and pre-make, equations of, like, this guy's going to have more takedowns?
So this is the first social wagering platform, which has been one of the biggest hurdles, which is the legal opinion, presenting it to Apple. That process took significantly longer because their attorneys came back and said, we've never seen anything like this. Normally there's some big house or a hedge fund or some sort of bank backing all these bets. And what you're saying is you're just going to let the public have fun with it. So our process through Apple and just the verification process through the banks was significantly longer because no one's ever done it. It's a one-off so far.
You guys basically wrote the rule book together.
Adjusted.
How hard was it getting on the App Store?
About two years
of nonstop.
So you'd submit it, they'd come back, that would go to our attorney for the legal opinion, you'd get it back from the attorney, you make the adjustment to the app, you resubmit it to Apple. So, us just being able to be in that space on Apple was a huge success for us.
Wow. There's a statistic that shows that the fastest growing growth rate of a bet industry is actually esports with a 20% growth with games like League of Legends and Rainbow Six. Do you feel that because this esports growth and it's such a niche, but it's such a mass market appeal, do you feel like guys like Jett Lawrence or guys like Deegan, Hunter Lawrence, these guys can kind of create enough hype around the app where you get enough users around the country that want to go in and create wagers that increases your monthly active users?
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, anybody on their level that will be able to shed eyes on it or put eyes on it will definitely grow the active user base. I think one of the things that may be interesting, because I've watched some of your guys' stuff, one of my original motivations was to actually, I've been in love with moto my whole life. I really sucked at it, but I've been riding, I told Twitch, you know, way back in the day. I'm talking Indian Dunes.
Yeah.
Like old school.
Yeah.
But never became any good at it. So moto's always been my passion. And the goal was to actually say, hey, can we create something to bring people that are watching other sports and have them even look at the moto space? For example, if you're going down the wager board and you're just a football dude and you scroll across the wager that says, okay, what is this Jett Lawrence, Eli Tomac, Anaheim 1 wager? Can I bring a fan that's a diehard football fan and at least get them to have the opportunity to look at moto? And when we made Moto Bookie, that was kind of like the original thought was, you know, can we actually play a role in growing the sport? And we knew that wagering. So if you look at it, wagering just entered moto last year.
Yeah.
Well, Moto Bookie came out 3.5-4 years ago.
Yep.
So I hate to say I was the pioneer of wagering in moto, but we actually had the very first platform to wager on moto.
I hear these other dudes talking about it on other podcasts and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I knew about Moto Bookie years before this stuff came out. Like,
yeah. And you know, so I think our goal is to, even with marketing, if you look at it, we've created spaces, you know, as you scroll through the wager board, there's individual cards for people to market. Well, how cool is it if you're in the PGA sport section of the app and a DBK ad comes up?
Yep.
And somebody goes, dude, that shirt's super sick. Let me click on that and take a look at it. You know, can I bring people that are just completely into other sports and cross market them? And I think through the app, we have the ability to do that.
What about like player props and the way people create parlays and these betting options that so many betting apps and betting sites have? Do you feel that the users thoroughly understand what's going on, or do you feel it? No.
So if anybody who understands Prize Picks, do you know what Prize Picks advantage is? Do you know?
Yeah.
They give you, you got to give up 0.5 point.
Yeah.
So you understand it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but you're hoping in exchange to get some big wins.
You're hoping to hit the lottery, right? So what's happening with Prize Picks is they're just collecting, they're like printing $5 and $10 bills. They're basically saying, hey, put your $10 up against this 6-leg parlay that we know is not going to hit. And some kid goes on there and goes, all right, I'm going to put my $10 and I can win $360. Well, what happens is once they hit one of those, it's like an addiction. They end up thinking now they're going to hit 6-leg parlays all day long, every single time.
Yeah.
So Prize Picks is genius in a way that it's kind of mentally trained people to think you can hit these long shots when in fact, you know, for every $10 you bet, you're going to do that 100 times before you smack that 6-leg parlay. And ours, listen, if you want to create, you can create more than one rider. You can go on there and say, I'm going to take Jett Lawrence, Eli Tomac, and Hunter Lawrence to beat Hayden Deegan. You can create those parlays. So we do give you the ability to do that. I just feel that these new wagering platforms have really suckered people into believing they're going to hit those long shots. And that's what kids are betting on.
Which that's what I like about your app. It's like it's more realistic of like placing a bet.
Yeah.
And if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. You're stoked. But there's so many bets that you can place at one time, which is cool. Like you said with the whole shot, the overall, the 450 dude leading and heading or ending the race ahead of the 250 guy in a totally different race. Like I've never seen stuff like that.
So we do have some future components that are coming along, I think, that are going to be absolutely game changing. And when I say that, I mean, we're working on it right now where you'll be able to take a guy like Bryson and say, okay, what's Bryson's average right now in the tournament? He's a 75. And you're going to be able to bet that Bryson's average will beat Jett Lawrence's average finish. So we're going to create a space where you can cross bet between the sports. So you'll be able to go to the golf section and I'll take Bryson's average of 75. I'm just giving you that example.
Yeah.
And Jett's average finish is 2. Now I'm going to bet them against each other and see who wins. And when I begin to cross match people like that, I'm going to take a guy that's never watched moto in his life, and he's going to definitely stop and say, okay, who's this Jett Lawrence guy? I want to check this out.
Yeah. Why do you have him bet?
Why do you have him betting against Bryson DeChambeau? And so my daughter actually thought of that a long time ago. She goes, I wouldn't bet on golf if it killed, because it's boring. I just don't like it. He goes, but if you did tell me I could take a golfer and bet him up against Jett Lawrence, I'd definitely take a look at it.
Yeah.
So I think our ability, the house don't have that ability because the odds makers are never going to make that bet. So with ours, you're going to be able to have endless amounts of bets you can create.
In terms of in terms of the wagering aspect of the app, do you feel that people are gravitated more towards certain style of wagering? For example, like fastest lap or head to head or pole position. Do you have those already built into the app, or are these things that as a consumer, I have to go on there and remember like, oh, I think this would be a good bet or a good wager, and then send that to Twitch and say, do you want action on this?
So, I mean, we have the ability to add different categories in. So it's not that you'd have to remember it. As you're creating the wager card, the categories are kind of preset there. So all you have to do is say, hey, whole shot wise, you know this, I'll take Justin Cooper to whole shot. The dude's a starting machine.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to remember it. There's just preset things that are in there. And once you create that wager card and we download the results, then it's going to pay you out based on, how things transpired.
So in terms of like fastest lap or head to head or pole position, are these all things that you would expect the average consumer that's coming already in from moto to know, and then they would go in there, create their wagering, and then start sending it to all their friends?
Correct.
That's how you're going to create kind of the traffic flow in that app?
I think that's how we'll create the traffic flow. We're finding most of the time it's position and whole shot for some reason. Those two seem to be the biggest categories.
It's the two easiest things to witness.
The two easiest things to witness and see, and you almost know if you won your bet within the first 10 seconds of the race.
Stoked,
and you're stoked.
So for like A1, for example, who do you have taking the fastest lap?
Qualifying?
Yeah.
Justin Cooper.
Twitch?
The guy's a qualifying machine. Or Jett. I mean, Jett's the
I'm
obvious
going Roxon or Jett.
Okay, so I would go with Hunter Lawrence.
See, and we could be betting against each
We
other
could be
right
betting
now.
against
Yeah,
each
so
other.
I would create that wager. I would send that to Twitch right now and then say, come get some action.
You could send it to Twitch, but that's not the only component. You can do two things. You could put it on the wager board for the public to take.
So when everyone else is on there, they can just scroll through and see
They can
your
scroll
bet.
through and see it. And if you just want to bet with Twitch, you can just send it to Twitch.
So before we go into more wagers and contests of that type, explain to me as an entrepreneur, you're creating this app. This app is kind of the first of its kind, right? So you're kind of like Twitch said, you're rewriting the playbook at the same time as you're trying to create it as, the UI UX of your app. I looked at it this morning. It's really nice. It's pretty clean and easy to understand. How do you kind of visualize the consumer going through the process? Do you visualize them going and discovering wagers on the leaderboard? Do you figure they're going to go in there and share it with friends? Do you see this more as a thing where I'm sitting on the couch with my friend and I'm like, yo, let's use this app? Because most people, what they would do is just pull out some cash and they would throw it on the table.
Correct.
And the winner walks away with it.
Yeah, but the best part is you could be sitting on your couch in Newport and I could be in Temecula and I'm
Correct.
like, hey, we could be talking like screw you, like take this wager. You know what I mean? Like, and we don't have to be there in person to do it. That's what I like.
Now, with a guy like Twitch, who's obviously faster than me on a bike, he can run away with the betting and he can basically never have to, pay me.
Correct.
So where would the fun sit? How does that work in terms of something of this nature?
I mean, I think the whole concept is if your buddies even up in the booth, I mean, you get the luxury of a lot of times get to watch the races from the booth upstairs. Well, if your homie's down in row 43 and you're going like, hey, bro, let's wager tonight. Let's bet on this. Is being able to have those bets, not have to say, oh, when are you going to pay me? Did he win? When are you going to sell me? Just straight up, hey, man.
So how does the app handle that?
It's all processed. Basically, you bet at $20, I bet $20. It comes out of both of our banks. So when you log on, you just deposit money like you would any other wagering
Like a
app.
Venmo or Zelle.
Yeah, no, it's through Approvely. You put your debit card in, money goes into your account. It references in your account what your balance is. You bet 20, I bet 20. That money goes into an escrow, a holding, and then once the race is finished and the results are downloaded, it's paid out accordingly. So it's seamless. I mean, you make the wager, and once the results are there, you get paid out.
And I can't run from you and not pay you.
Correct.
Like everything's already there.
And there's no dispute. It's just simple. That's what came in on the AMA results page, and now I got to pay it out.
Yep.
So how do you envision kind of the multi-sport factor coming into that? Are you going to slowly just start releasing other sports and preloading data? Are you going to just focus on Moto and UFC one at a time?
No. Right now, we're currently live with basketball. We have NBA. We have NFL. We have UFC. We have SMX. And then as the sports seasons come around, we'll release those sports, as their seasons start. But we go through a company called Sport Radar. So once you have access to all the data, it's basically just loading all the games, loading all the players, creating the categories, and then letting the fans have fun with it.
That's dope. I'm looking forward to Anaheim 1.
Yeah. I think also
who's winning Anaheim 1?
Who's winning Anaheim 1?
Oh God. Send it.
It's hard to say right now. I'm gonna go with Jett or Hunter. Those dudes right now are ripping, especially Hunter. I think Hunter's gonna have some shit for Jett this year.
Mookie. He's due for one. I mean, that one year he was running away with it and hit false neutral on the on-off. I think he had it that year.
He looks really good.
He looks really good, and you can never bet against a guy. I gotta see the whoops.
Plus
if the
Tomac,
whoops are gnarly, I'm gonna go on record. This is a hot take. I don't think Tomac's even a top 5 guy at A1.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Because
I don't think so.
Canada, he was dope.
Yeah, until he wasn't. Until they went and it got some real whoops, and then Deegan went blowing around him, like waved at him and just took off.
That was pretty gnarly.
Like,
I think he still has a lot to figure out with the bike,
and I think
come Anaheim 1, I think he'll be good.
No, I think
Tomac ain't showing up to a gunfight with a knife. There's no way.
I don't feel like he's at a point in his career age wise where if everything isn't absolutely perfect, he's letting out of it. He's backing out of it.
I can see that, but I see our first wager coming up between me and you right away.
Yeah, I see it.
DraftKings $3.6 billion in revenue in 2023. FanDuel $11.8 billion revenue in 2023. MGM is a major player. You have Bet365. You have Caesar's Palace Sportsbook. So many of these sports books and these betting apps, because of the loyalty program, the parlay, the prop bets, the bet types, they have crazy market share, and these guys are doing billions of dollars globally. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself as an app, especially with like these types of conversations? That was such a fun, easy conversation to have that now you can just go instantly place, a wager. Yeah. Where do you see the app piercing the most when it comes to revenue?
That's a great question. Where I see ourselves as an option. People have asked me that. I said, I'm never going to replace FanDuel. I'm never going to replace DraftKings, and I'm not going to replace Prize Picks. I just want to be an option. If you go on any of those sites and you don't like the juice they're offering, I'm allowing you to come to BetsOn, create your own wager. And our platform, what's the worst case scenario? Nobody takes your wager. Your money goes back into your account. Nothing gained, nothing lost. So we're not charging you. If you put your wager up on the wager board and nobody accepts it, it just gets refunded back into your account.
And none of those other dudes that he's talking about do wagering on motocross, right?
They don't do wagering on motocross, that's for sure.
Because it's not on their radar. But like our industry is still so big that it's like, I feel like you got a niche right now where this thing's going to blow up.
We're hoping so. Our goal is to create an environment where fans can talk shit, have a good time, and not have the house skewing the odds against them. Yep. If I lose my money on BetsOn, it's because I took a wager that I felt I could win, or I placed a wager that I felt I could win. What do you do when you got, I don't know, $5,000 on the line, and all of a sudden LeBron walks up with 10 seconds left in the game and bricks 2 free throws? And you're going, that's interesting. Vegas just cashed in. They hit the under. I don't want to bet like that no more. I want to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm betting on, and this is what, and it's happening. You're looking at the Terry Rozier stuff. All this stuff.
The whole world's coming to a very close microscope when it comes to betting an athlete.
Correct. Look at what happened. Look at the UFC and that guy. Yeah, I mean, that's like a federal thing now.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Dana White already came out. They just made a partnership with another company that basically comes in and checks the lines and sees if there's things going on.
Of course, you take a UFC fighter. The guy's got a 3-fight contract for $25,000. And you go, hey, man, we're going to get as much money as we can together, and I'm going to go in there and take a dive, and I'm going to make 10 years worth of income by taking a dive. How do you avoid that? I mean, the sports wagering world is as corrupt as any other industry. And I'm just simply saying, hey, let the fans battle it out.
And moto dudes have too much heart to do shit like that.
Of course. Yeah. No, and
I don't think any of them would.
Yeah. There's a
way.
zero. No, there's a 0% chance Jett's cartwheeling it through the whoops to let his brother win some. Not happening.
not
He
happening.
beat his brother in Vegas.
No, he's beat his brother.
All he had
about
to do was take
50
third.
times.
His brother would have won the whole thing. Instead,
He'll tell you how bad he feels about it, but he still won.
Correct. As he's cashing the check.
They were in here this week. Twitch, Hunter, Jett, Josh Hill, everybody was in here. We had a podcast, and I'm watching Jett and Hunter work out. And the competitive spirit they have just when working out, like Hunter started getting serious, so then Jett shut up and he started getting more serious. And then me and Twitch and Josh are just messing around. I'm always
talking
messing
shit
around
to him the whole time.
And then Hunter locks in, and then Jett locks in even more. And they're just working out here at our Jaxxon Media House. Like what people don't realize about you, that's such a great point. Every moto racer I've met, Supercross, motocross, doesn't even matter, even freestyle guys, they all have a certain swag to them, a certain demeanor, which is like, I'm the master of my own fate. Similar to UFC guys. Like if you meet MMA guys that fight in the UFC specifically, they have this like, I am my own guy. I am my own fate. I am my own destiny. I ain't got 20 guys. Like LeBron has 4 other guys if he's having an off night.
Correct.
And that's not what that's not what these singular sports have, you know? And you see that in a lot of these guys. If there was someone that I wanted to place a wager on, with especially peer-to-peer, I want to place it on a guy that I can see and I can feel and I could be like, oh, that guy's going to take it to the limit tonight.
Oh yeah.
And moto is such a good sport for you to kind of kickstart your whole brand and this whole social wagering concept, because you also get to see so much of it. Unlike most sports, you get 20 weekends of it straight where I can really lock in. I'm calling Twitch every Saturday. I'm like, yo, did you watch that?
FaceTiming.
I'm FaceTiming everybody. I got Ryan Sheckler in a group chat with Khalil Roundtree, with Cole Hoshman. I got surfer skaters, moto, and I'm like, everybody tune in.
P-Rod, like everyone's on this text.
I'm like, everybody tune in. We're gonna watch the boys race. It is the coolest thing. So I couldn't wait to be able to sit there and start just wagering everybody. I want to read you some of these things, these statistics. I want to hear what you think. Prize Picks, for example, they have, they started the quarter off pretty strong, 218,000 downloads. It peaked in February with 355,000. These are weekly downloads, and then by March, they were doing about 80,000 per week. But they have an active, stable user count monthly of around 1.4 million weekly active users, right? ESPN, they did about $8 million per week in January. Around March, they were doing around 2.6, and they have about 250,000 with a kind of active user maintenance. You could see that they're around March, they were doing about 112,000 weekly active users. Okay. And last one is FanDuel Sports. They were doing about 325,000 in February active weekly downloads. And they peaked with about 6.3 million active weekly users. So like the market is so insane.
It's astronomical.
I'm gonna say one more just to kind of give you the market share here. DraftKings was doing around 350,000 active weekly downloads. And then, towards the end of February, they had a peak active user base of about 5.5 million. Okay. So like you could see some of these active weekly downloads and these active weekly users on some of these sports books are so massive. There's a reason why these guys are hitting these $1 billion revenue points.
Correct.
What do you think it's going to take for your business to have an active weekly download rate that's firing up a hill just as fast as the active weekly user rate is?
I think it's going to be education and exposure. And when I say education is people genuinely understanding the product. Right? Not downloading it for 10 seconds and then going, okay, I don't get this. Why am I on here? I think explaining to people that I'm not trying to replace the market. I'm just trying to be an option in there. Because the truth is, most people use all of them. If you talk to somebody who's online wagering, they don't go, oh, I just use Prize Picks.
Yeah,
they're going
apps.
from one to another to another to another. And so in order to sustain that growth is be consistent with, putting myself out there and putting the brand out there and genuinely letting people know that we're merging social media and wagering.
It's two of the biggest things
It's two of the biggest things right now. And I think that it's interesting that it's a component. I understand why they don't do it. Why would a DraftKings or a FanDuel who has endless amounts of money just develop a concept where the users could wager amongst themselves? Well, that's contrary to their business model.
Yeah.
So they're not going to create that because they're the house. That's how they make their money. So just letting the general public know that, hey, if you don't want to fight against the odds, you don't want to go against the 800-pound gorilla in the industry where you know the odds are skewed, go to Bets On and bet with your friends and have a good time. And my goal eventually is somehow integrate this into more of a big social media play where people are on there posting their wagers and showing their skill set. We're going to have something coming out in the future where there'll be rankings. So you'll be able to look at a guy's profile and see if he's a ringer or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, homeboy's like 95% win rate. Well, as a competitive person, I'm for sure talking smack to that guy.
Yeah,
I'm sending him wagers. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to take down the king here. So we have a lot of different features coming along that will create that side of the competitiveness as well.
Yeah.
And going back to moto, yeah, I mean, I've taken people who've never seen a moto dirt bike in their life and took them to Supercross, and you'll hear the average kind of moron go, well, it doesn't look that hard, right?
Yeah.
And I go, dude, you can't even walk the track, let alone ride it. I go, you'd walk off the face of the triple and fall flat on your face.
You know how many dudes you hear in the stands talking to their chicks like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
It's like you go down and do track walk. You're like, holy shit, this looks way gnarly.
Not only
That was
could
me.
not
That was
only
me.
could
I ate
you
my first A1.
No,
I'm
no.
like, bro, this is easy. I could do this. And I've been to K1 racing. I know how to handle myself.
It's because the dudes that are doing it are badass and they make it look easy.
Well, also too, if you've ever seen Jett Lawrence or Hunter Lawrence in real life, they look like Justin Bieber. Ain't no way I'm looking at those guys being like, this is one of the
gnarliest athlete in the world.
One of the most elite athletes I've ever seen. Bro, Jett Lawrence walked into a coffee shop with me. I swear, I literally think the girls thought he was Ryan Gosling. I'm like, yo, this dude's an athlete. And Hunter Lawrence, he literally looks like he has like $500 billion and runs a hedge fund. He got perfect hair 24/7. Like, these guys don't look like elite athletes, but they are. Bro, just riding the bike in the mountains with my friends, I was like, bro, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I can't imagine what those guys go through. I mean, they were, Hunter always breaks down his heart rate and they really track it. So, on some moto talk, like watching these guys' heart rate at a Supercross, how fast they're going, the amount of staff, the team, everything that goes into that. And then on top of that, being able to control their body and their breathing.
And being perfect every single lap.
It's got to be one of the hardest sports in the world.
No, I think for
it's
sure.
up there with getting hit in the face.
Yeah, I think
I feel like it's not that hard to get hit in the face. It's hard to be perfect through the whoops 20 laps in a row.
It's hard not to get hit in the face. So I'll say this. Maybe it's not hard to get hit in the face. So the guys that lose, maybe it's not hard. But I think MMA is probably one of the most difficult things just because so many different martial arts you have to know now. You go against a guy like Hamza, you got to wrestle, you got to strike, you got to kick, you got to be an insane cardio. But Supercross has got to be up there with the hardest sports to do.
Yeah, I mean, you've lived it your whole life, but just being a huge fan and watching it for 40 years of my life, you look at just even the so originally Moto Bookie, I sponsored a bunch of privateers. I'm a big privateer guy. I know that's contrary to
giving back.
Like gypsies, like, dude, they should just ditch the privateer dudes. And I'm like, yeah, I go, but those guys are also what make up the sport. Like sometimes you'll be watching the battle from 9th to 12th.
Yeah.
And it is the sickest all out warfare. Take your leg off, like run your wife over to get a payday tonight. So, I think the whole sport, even the dudes in 12th, 13th, 14th place. I mean, obviously Jett's in a level of his own. That's for sure.
You look at the top 15 dudes, every single one of those dudes is a light championship. Yeah. So any one of those dudes can win the Supercross that night, whether it's their night or not. So then to have like the next 5 to 7 dudes like be privateers, it's like some of those privateers, that's how they get better, is riding with dudes that are better than them. Yeah. Like I get the whole like, hey, be aware when you're getting lapped. But when you're in a battle and you're battling for 10th and that's the money you're going to live on to get to the race next week, you're not paying attention. Like there's so much shit going through your head. It's hard to get out of the way.
And part of that's the reason we created the app is you get them keyboard tough guys that are like, oh, homeboy's trash. All right, well, put your money up then.
Yeah.
If he's such trash. It's something I had I've been a big thinker my whole life, and kind of one of the original things I wanted to do was I was doing a bunch of sponsorship with the privateers. And if Bets On goes anywhere half as good as we pray it goes, that's still going to be my passion is creating some sort of funnel to give back to the privateers. I think what's really handicapped moto from going big is having something like a rider union, where these dudes retire. And I saw the podcast not too long ago with your buddy that was on it, and he was kind of talking about the addiction piece and, how many of these dudes get out there for a Chisholm, get out there 20 years of their life out there battling, their bodies are shot. And then they walk away from the sport and they don't got a penny to their name. And I think one thing that needs to happen to take moto to the next level is creating some sort of foundation so that when these dudes are done with the sport, there's something there for them, whether it's a union, some sort of a retirement fund. And people are probably going to think I'm crazy, but as much money that comes through the sport, and I know there's a lot of money that comes in and out of this sport, to be able to set some of these riders up to where they have a future. If I could play a role in that, I'd love to. If I could take a portion of the proceeds from Bets On and go, hey, you know what? Every year we're going to give $100,000, and we're giving it out 10,000 a piece to 10 privateer riders, and we're going to create a fund though. So when a Ray or these dudes retire, they got a little bit of a nest egg to fall back on, just something. Yeah, because you see them, dude, and then you see guys that were battling in the top 10 or 15, and then 3 or 4 years later, they're like selling tires down at the local dealership. You're like, dude, how the heck were you part of filling the stadium year after year after year? And now you're done with it and you don't even have money to make your car payment.
There's a lot of greed in this industry.
Yeah.
A lot.
But that goes with every industry. I mean, you got guys that fight for world titles and you have guys that are top 5 fighters and they're still on 25 deals. I think that the problem is a lot of these sports, in action sports like MMA, like moto, like skate, they grow so fast on a mass market level appeal, but the industry and the organizations do not meet that same growth rate. And what ends up happening is the sponsorship dollars are not filling that void. And the amount of money these athletes are not making does not fill that void. And what ends up happening is the athletes, the riders, the skaters, the fighters, they end up getting left behind. The organizations continue to rise. And then you get these, streaming deals and these sponsorship deals for the organizations, not the athletes.
Yeah.
It's very unique. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but in football, the team owners get paid an allotment from the league. Correct. They get that allotment, then they go pay players. It's not the team owner coming out of their pocket $300 million. So what people don't understand too is a lot of these big major league sports, they're backed by billion-dollar broadcasting deals. They're backed by billion-dollar sponsorship deals. And then they're able to go put together the best athletes, and then they have so much viewership. It's not there yet on some of these types of organizations, like say Supercross or SLS, So they're not able to meet that same star level. But I'll guarantee you right now, Jett Lawrence is more famous than some of these football players. So Ryan Sheckler is a lot more famous than some of these football players.
So I was going to make that point to you, which is, they've been talking about Jett's deal, and you're more in the know than I do.
Yeah, 100 million, 5-year Honda.
No. I wish it was 100 million. I wish he was getting 100 million.
Yeah.
He deserves 100
He's got
million.
enough Rolls Royces. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, but okay, but does
for what he does,
100%.
But for what he does, when you look at a guy
he's a
that's
superstar.
That's the 3rd string quarterback on some trash football team that you've never heard of, and he's making $7-8 million a year to sit on the bench, and then you see these people in the comments, and I was looking at when they drop Jett's deal, and they don't give the specifics, but guys are in there, I never got paid $5 million or $7 million a year to ride a dirt bike. And I'm going, well, but how much money do you think Jett Lawrence is making everybody around him? And when you look at, I heard some podcasts that Bubba may have brought $1 billion into the industry. Easily. So you're saying a guy brings $1 billion into an industry. What do you think Bubba's net worth is? 25, 30 max? If you had to guess?
Without a doubt, Jett Lawrence is one of the biggest, if not the biggest focal point. Not to mention you have Hunter Lawrence making the story just as exciting.
Correct.
But he doesn't get the amount of credit he deserves. One of the most surgical racers in the game. And I think this year, like you said, a great point. This kid's about to put on a clinic.
Oh,
but I
sure.
think the Lawrence brothers, look at what they do with the Lawrence fan zone, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about them for a second. The Lawrence experience is one of the coolest things in the fan zone. But instead of having people rally around it being like, finally racers are getting empowered and being able to build their own kind of personal wealth with brands and sponsorships, you got guys being like, oh, why are you charging people to take photos? Like, brother, there's a reason why they need to have revenue. They need to make money to be able to buy these $500,000 big rigs and these show trailers. And like, what the problem is sometimes the biggest advocates are not even from your organization or your industry. It's from outside the industry. And the biggest naysayers are from your own industry. Those kids, without a doubt, Jaxxon is probably the fastest growing men's jewelry brand. We would have never got into moto if it wasn't for Twitch. I had a personal affinity with moto. I think it is one of the dopest things, and it correlates perfect with what we're trying to do here, which is build with athletes in our media house. Twitch came in with Ryan Sheckler. I'm like, Twitch, I'd love to work with you. We don't have the craziest budget, contrary to what everybody thinks. Ain't nobody a billionaire. We're shoestringing the whole budget together, trying to make something special. And Twitch is like, I'm all in. I believe in this. Twitch then was able to help me coordinate with Sheckler and get the Lawrence brothers involved. And then I said, yo, Twitch, now we have so much moto. I was like, what about we put together this podcast and we focus specifically on moto, skate, and surf, a little bit of jujitsu, but we have our Jaxxon podcast for that. Twitch is basically holding the torch for this moto industry, allowing us to give some of these guys some money, bring them in, get them sponsorships. But you see the Lawrence brothers, they don't need to be here 3 days a week. They don't need to be doing all the extracurriculars like meeting fans and meeting buyers and going to meeting the staff. They put in so much work outside of racing that the moto industry will never see. Jett Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence are probably the most business savvy athletes I've ever met. And they handle a lot of their own deals with their dad. But the problem is the story is never told the right way. And these kids go out, like Twitch is like everybody's idol in that industry. And we all look towards Twitch, even myself, when it comes to business. He's been relevant for so long, but it's because he puts in the work. It's not because he's sitting here saying, I'm the man. Same with Ryan Sheckler. The reason why the kid was hated on is he was a part of Axe Body Spray. He was a part of Red Bull as a little kid. He was
MTV, his own TV show. Like,
he did all the things no one else could do. But they don't want to give the credit for that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's such a good point. And to get back to what we were talking about here with the way you're kind of redefining the social wagering aspect, I love that because you're able to bring people together too in an industry that kind of separates people and tears their life apart. You're able to kind of bring people together and let it be a lot more interactive. Because you know how many times I've hit up Twitch and I'm like, yo, who's going to win tonight? Let's get some action.
every weekend.
Yeah,
Twitch is like insider trading. Though.
Hey, this guy, if you ever wanted to have a social wagering, hit him up.
Yeah.
Somehow he knows
For
everybody.
Sure.
Oh, that guy's
Hey,
tired.
I just put a wager on this dude. I'm like, he just got hurt at the test track yesterday.
Yeah.
I would pull that.
Yeah,
I would
he's
pull
like,
that
oh,
one.
this guy's hurt. Oh, that guy's boots don't fit right. I'm
And
like,
the team's and the team's never going to come out and tell anybody. He just got hurt at
No.
the test track.
No one wants to tell
Twitch
anyone.
has half the league. Literally half the league is at his house every day. And people don't even talk about that. And they're doing jumps. I don't even think they're supposed to be jumping. I'll tell you, racers right now are jumping in Twitch's backyard. If anybody wants to go check it out, go to his backyard. You'll see some stuff you shouldn't be seeing. I got one more thing for you. When it comes to like the user experience, the UI UX, obviously Jaxxon spends a lot of time building out our site. You spend a lot of time building out your app and making
Years.
it look. Yeah, you
Years.
said 2 years almost, right?
No, more.
4 years.
4 years.
years.
Yeah. I've been talking to Chad for about 3.5 years, probably. Off and on, like trying to figure this out.
Twitch is one of your biggest, advocates. And I think one thing I loved about it was the interface. It's the UI UX for those that don't know. It's the flow of where the buttons go and the imagery and the colors and what kind of is there and what's not there, the spacing. It all flows nicely. And when people are building a brand, some of the most important, intuitive, fast, visually appearing like interfaces that they should be focusing on are things like, I wrote some stuff here like secure user authentication, diverse betting options and diverse options of how you kind of set up parlays or social wagering aspects, real-time odds and scores, or, secure payment gateways, things that kind of control not just the flow, but the security of the app. Push notifications,
the color of the app, the
color
layout
of the app, customer support options, tools like that kind of show spending limits or show things that are going on, or these wagering boards. It's a lot for someone who doesn't know business or has like a background in UI UX to think about. Kind of walk me through what was your kind of route to success when kind of putting together all these different aspects to create this finished product, just so the audience kind of gets a cool little background creatively of what it takes to create something of this nature.
Yeah, that's a lot, and I'm glad you asked that. So the UI UX was I'm not going to exaggerate, probably 40 to 50 different iterations, from color to, hey, that button's not necessary. So we did a bunch of user feedback. So we'd send it out, and then we'd send emails out and say, hey, what do you like? What do you not like? What's confusing you? Where are you having hiccups? So we did a lot of that at the beginning and came to the conclusion that people want, crazy, simple, stupid. They don't want to have to think too much. They don't want to have to click too many buttons. So we played around with it enough to know that you can go on there and place a wager, and you could do it if you know what's already in your mind within 10 to 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. You can create the wager, have it up on the wager board extremely quickly. As far as the colors and whatnot, we found out what colors were most appealing to people, like what popped, what information we wanted to pop. And that was a lot of trial and error. We'd change the colors. We'd send out another survey. I'd change a button. We'd send out another survey. In regards to this safety part of it, is going back to Apple, which was a very lengthy process. Getting with the Approvally, being able to seamlessly put money in and take money out through a secured payment portal. We use a company called Gamble ID. So when you go to sign up, it's going to ask you all your verification questions. And if anything doesn't match up, for example, if you put in on your ID, your home address is on there, but you put in your name, but you put in the shop address, it's going to flag it and go, wait, this information doesn't line up.
Nice.
So everything is through a company called Gamble ID. So we've spent a lot of money building the infrastructure to make sure that the wagers are secure, that your money's secure, and that if there's ever any problem with any part of it, we have backstops in place to say, hey, we'll be able to, we can refund your money or we can do whatever it takes to make you comfortable. And that was the lengthy process with Apple. Like, I don't know if you've ever put any products in the App Store.
It's not easy.
It is not easy. So,
and they take a piece, right?
No, because I don't offer a subscription.
Explain that to the audience, how it normally works.
How it normally works is if you have a subscription, then they're going to get a portion of your subscription.
So if your app has a subscription payment, correct, Apple basically through their iStore is able to take
a portion of that because you're processing everything through Apple and their payment platform.
Amazing.
Our platform's completely free. And so they don't take a portion of that. We've done a lot of work, putting ourselves in the search engine on the Apple App Store. So when you type in bets on, it's a lot easier to find. But I don't have a background in tech, so I'm like a motocross dude learning the whoops. I'm trial by error. That's kind of what I'm doing.
How many people you have on the app now?
We originally had, I want to say we have about 7,000 to 8,000 users on the app. So but once again, we've done no marketing. This is just word of mouth, me telling people, hey, check it out. Yeah. This year's our year to start marketing it.
This year, this app's going to blow up. Like, that is the goal.
This is our goal.
7,000 to 8,000 active monthly users is insane for any app, let alone something that involves this level of growth, as you could see what the industry is doing.
And that's just him and his daughter doing it on their own. You know what I mean? Like,
that's if you had to have some key takeaways, so for Twitch, for example, for DBK, you're building one of the best brands I've seen in a long time. It's so authentic, so core. He's always posting content. He's always showing people kind of the track and what he's got going in his backyard, always showing the warehouse and what he's got with his staff. You're playing all the pieces yourself. Mm-hmm. You're the operator, you're the owner, you're the founder, you're the writer, you're the content creator, you're the shipper, you're the warehouse. What are some key takeaways for building a brand you feel like in today's time people don't talk about? And then I want to ask you that before we wrap up.
Sure. Honestly, it's just being authentic. If you believe in something, if I believe in something, I'm going to put my whole heart into it. And I feel like people see that and they notice it, and that's why they support it. So that's why I'm fully back in this app this year. Like, I'm stoked to be a part of it. Like, I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward just to see what we can do with this and how we can grow it.
Yeah, and I want to definitely thank you. I've reached out to, and Twitch knows this, I've dialed a lot of phone numbers and sent a lot of emails in this industry and just completely got nothing. And he was like the first one that hit me back and was like, hey, bro, come down to my house, check it out. Let's talk about it. So I really...
And we've been talking for 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
And this dude's one of the hardest, and I don't say this just to be on his dick, but he's one of the hardest working guys in the game. Because when he cares about something, he cares. And that's what a lot of people in business don't understand. Nothing happens overnight. And they love to say this cliche, bootstrap, started success overnight. Like, bro, success was 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
Jaxxon's been around since 2018. I came on as a partner in 2020. It took us till now, 2026, to really become the leading men's jewelry brand in an industry that's dominated by Louis Vuitton and Tiffany.
But to everyone else, it looks like it was overnight.
Yeah,
so they're like, that was just overnight
you
success.
Just started. Oh, yeah, you just pay all these athletes. Like, dog, Twitch wasn't even getting paid the first year, basically, from me. And he was just here because he knew there was something here that could be made. But all these business owners, all these entrepreneurs, all these content creators, they just want instant success. Mm-hmm. Just like they want to be able to post content instantly and get likes and engagement. And it ruins the whole kind of allure of trying to build something, because then you never get the time.
Well, then you have this influencer telling you to go buy this and go buy that. And then the next week they're like, fuck that, we're doing something different now. Yeah.
Correct.
After you just got done spending your hard-earned money. Yeah, there's no loyalty.
They're
so
like, that product's trash.
It takes me a while to like get invested into something where I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, we're going to do this now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think going back when I met you at the warehouse, and I remember you're like, dang, he's like, there's some dark days in business. I'm in about $1 million on this. And it was my daughter's idea at a damn Supercross race. My wife and I had plans to buy a home 3 or 4 years ago, a nice home. And I go, we got to shelf the home because I'm going to try to build the app. and my wife was gracious enough to, I had plenty of money to go put a fat down payment on a home. Well, I took all that money and poured it into this. And so, you know, when I met you, I remember coming down and you're like, yeah, bro, I just put in like $100,000 order for a bunch of mini bike parts. I hope they sell.
Yeah.
And you're like, look, dude. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, he likes the consumer base. He knows that the pit bike scene is dope and he wants to make dope shit. Well, nobody goes, well, dude, homeboy just put 100,000 out of his own pocket. And if all these parts come in and people don't like them, you got to wet the bed on those or wholesale them. So I think, like you said, it just, I believe in it. But my genuine goal in you know, my day-to-day business is to save as many lives as possible from fentanyl addiction. That's my passion. Mm-hmm. I'll never divert from my true passion, which is trying to save the youth of America from dying from fentanyl overdoses. And I will never, I don't care how much money my company comes worth. I don't care about that. The minute that vision changes, I'll no longer be in that industry because that's going to be my passion. And with Bets On, it's kind of the same passion, which is, can I get all these ugly players out of the game and just let the fans bet amongst each other? And if this thing does go big, I want to have a big presence in moto. I'd love nothing more than the side of Jett's jersey to say Bets On. Yeah. I'd love nothing more to team up with you and go, hey, bro, this thing's making hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's do a team.
Yeah.
That I envision big like that going. And one day, dude, there's a DBK Bets On rig there, and we're just hiring the dopest rider to go out and have a blast.
And that's giving back to the sport.
And that's what I want to do. Originally, when we did Moto Bookie, I was throwing launch parties for privateers that cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just because I was like, shit, no one else does anything for you guys. Here, come have a free dinner at a dope ass restaurant before A1. And let me say hi to everybody. And they were so cool about it. So if this thing blows up, I mean, my main focus will be to get entrenched in moto and make Bets On a staple in moto. And I'd love to sponsor a team someday. And maybe I'm just dreaming big, but I think I can get there. So.
That's how it starts, is dreaming.
Yeah.
That's how it starts with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally probably call Twitch once a week with 25 ideas, spit them all out as fast as I can. Then anybody be like, all right, I'll talk to you later. And I hang up the phone.
I usually get 2 out of the 25. Yeah. I'm like, all right, this will work.
Yeah.
I usually do that with my wife. She shoots them down as fast as they're coming out. You know what I mean? She's
my wife
like,
too.
Dumb. Cool. Let's move on to something else. I'm like, all right.
But you got to be able to brainstorm with the people you're building with. Like one of my biggest successes, you know, in driving my success, I think, is that I have amazing people around me that are willing to believe in the same chaos. Mm-hmm. And then that chaos becomes refined. And when the chaos becomes a little bit more refined, then you see a little bit of gold in it. And then when you see the gold, you get a nice chain. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, there's always a little bit of something there. You just got to have the right people around you saying, hey, you know what, dude, I've seen the way you operate. That's not going to work. Or, hey, I've seen the way you operate. If we do more of this will work. And then you get that from 3-4 different people. Like, dude, I have a great soundboard. I got Jett Lawrence, Ryan Sheckler, Nyjah, P-Rod, Twitch. On the MMA side, I got Armin and Hamzat, and I got, you know, Luke Rockhold and TJ Dillashaw, Michael Bisping.
Roundtree, like everyone.
There's so many people. Khalil Roundtree's in this gym once a week. Cole Hoshman, the best surfer in the world. I'm able to really touch the action sports and the culture of these sport worlds in real time and be like, what do you think of this design? What do you think of this marketing campaign?
That's what's cool about surrounding yourself with people like that, is because none of those dudes are yes men. They're not going to tell you something that they don't believe is going to work.
He talks more crap to me than anybody I know.
I'm just honest.
He's the most honest guy I know.
You need those people.
100%.
Because if you don't, it'll be, you know, it's like in my day-to-day gig, I go and I say, hey, how can we be better and save more lives? Well, I don't have the answer to that. I need to ask all my staff members. Yeah. Let's extend hours. Let's offer this. Let's help people get into homeless facility. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I know how we're going to do this. No, I need you guys to tell me, what do we need to do to be successful, and be willing to listen to those people.
100%.
There was a few years ago back when I changed bike brands, and I was so stoked on it. But in my head, I knew it wasn't the right choice that I did. And I remember being at the track. Yeah, and I remember being at the track, and Vicky goes, man, you look like shit on that bike. And I like look at her, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Finally, someone told me what I was feeling. I'm like, I was just like in my head. I was so hyped to be on this bike and I wanted it so bad, but there were so many problems I was having with it I didn't like. And that day she told me I looked like shit on that bike, I went and bought a Kawasaki again, and I freaking was back at home, and I loved that bike at that time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you need people around you that are going to call you on your shit or tell you look like shit or that's not a good business plan. It's like, you need more of those people around you than you do the people who are like, oh yeah, you should go for it. Go spend all this money. Go do that. You know what I mean? It's like you need that person that's going to humble you all the time and like tell you the real honest truth.
I got one last thing for you.
Yeah.
Top 3 racers in Supercross this year. Who's it going to be? First, second, third?
Get 450?
Yeah.
Oh, Jett, hands down. I think everyone's going to be surprised. I think Sexton's going to do well. I think
On the
he's
new
got.
bike?
Yeah, I think he's got something to prove for Kawasaki
And himself.
I think himself. I think this is the year where he's either going to be able to be that guy that battles Jett long term, and if he falls off this year, I think he's got problems because Jett's only going to get better. In the 450 class, I'm going to go Jett. I'm going to go Sexton. Then I'll go Hunter. I got to put Hunter in. I got to put Hunter in the top 3.
That's a solid top 3 right
250. I hands down. I think Deegan can start in 15th every race and march his way to the front.
Even with Joe Shimoda coming back?
Because I think he's in all their heads. I don't Moto's, and I don't know this personally. I didn't race professionally like he did. But I think it's like anything in life. Once somebody's just lives rent free in your head, it's hard to, and I think he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. You see what he did to Cole Davies. I think Deegan would take his own mom out for a win.
100%.
And I respect that. I respect that because that's a winner's
win is a win.
winner's mentality.
Yeah,
It's
a win is a win.
I think Shimoda has a long road back. Yeah, that's an injury that you got to see if does he ride different? Is he timid? I don't know.
Which sucks because he was riding so good,
well.
dude.
I went
He's
to
in here.
Vegas. My daughter and I were losing our shit. We were there watching it live, and Deegan's trying to take him out. And I'm a Deegan fan. I wasn't bummed when Deegan went down. I'm going like, dude, kind of chicken shit. Like I'm a Deegan fan. You know what I mean? I go, but damn, 5 attempts to take the guy out. Like either just beat him or don't beat him. And I saw him the next day at Caesars. Deegan, he was walking with all his homies and stuff, and he had his arm in his collarbone, and he said, "What's up?" He's very nice. But I got Deegan on the 250. I think Kitchen will do well.
Kitchen looks like
I
he's
think
on fire
Kitchen's
right
on
now.
fire, but we say that every year. The
Yeah.
Kitchen on fire. I want to see Cole Davies. I think Cole Davies
Yes.
is the future of that class.
That kid's bad.
I got to see how that arm injury heals up. But yeah, those are my
Solid
guys.
lineup. Who do you got, Twitch? Top 3 for 450.
My 450 is pretty similar. You know, of course I got Jett and Hunter in there. And then like my next couple dudes are hard. Like I think Kenny's going to be in there at the beginning of the season.
Mid-season though, he just can't do it.
Never count out Kenny.
You can't.
Not for a win.
And that's what I love
Not
about
for
Kenny,
a win,
like-
but you. I don't think you put him as a title contender.
No, not as a title contender. He gets bored. And I'd say for 250 for sure you can't count out Deegan. You got Deegan, Kitchen, and Davies, but you also have a bunch of other dudes switching bike brands. So it's like it's going to be gnarly this year. Like I'm really.
I like
I haven't seen
Hymus
enough.
when he's on. I like
Yeah.
Hymus when he's on. Juju's out. So
Hymus is going to be gnarly this year. Like
I mean, my long shot guy I'm rooting for to just get one more win is Faulkner. I'm a fan through and through, and just watching his career from when he was actually battling Jett, and
Dude,
like,
he
how
was
do you
gnarly.
handle that mentally? Like, you were supposed to be the guy.
he's just had so
And
many
just so
bad
many
crashes.
injuries.
But I heard there's been some talk of him riding a 450 this year.
With Jordan's.
Yep, instead of the 250. So I honestly think that would be a really good play for Faulkner is on the 450. I think he can mellow out a little bit. He won't have to ride the bike as hard, and he'll be able to do some shit on that bike that people are going to be tripping on because that dude's a really talented rider.
Like, I know you got to end it, but Cole Davies was putting it on Deegan last year. He was putting it on Deegan. No,
Davies is bad.
He's
good.
You know who he
He's
looks like,
sick.
and you know who he looks like in the whoops, and how just like Jett, that head is perfectly still. He's blasting through the whoops. The bike's perfectly straight. If you look at his riding style, it's a lot of Jett in there.
His riding style is if Hansen and Jett Lawrence had a baby.
Had a baby, yeah.
That's Davies right
Yeah.
there, dude.
That boy's
Like,
sick, but
that
I don't
kid's
know how bad his arm is. But
It's just an arm. He'll be fine.
yeah,
It's just a broken arm.
And Twitch, before I let you go, what do you think about Joe Shimoda? Does he come back and he'll be top of the notch off the break, or do you think it's going to take a while for him to get back in the motion of it?
I think when Shimoda comes back, he's top 5 dude instantly.
But it'll be for outdoors.
I heard there's talk that he's probably going to race the last few rounds of Supercross.
East, clearly.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So we'll see.
He's been training here at the Jaxxon Media House with Joe Cancelleri. That kid is a dog, and I don't think he's scared of anybody. And I still to this day think the greatest thing I've ever seen in moto media is him saying, "I don't speak English."
And did you see the video Wilson posted on a story from the wedding they were at?
Yeah.
He had the neck race on doing the robot, and then to the middle fingers, like,
bro,
dude, that Shimoda's bad. Dude.
He's coming out of his shell a little bit, and he's starting to have some personality. We see that with Jett and Hunter. We see a lot of personality this year. This year's going to be some battles.
So I think just in closing, they need to let that happen. It's so funny in moto. You see the dudes and they get fined for a takeout or something crazy like that.
But then they use it
on the big screen every single time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you should be paying those dudes for that.
You should be paying them to wipe each other out.
I think Anderson's even a top 5 anywhere near.
Yeah. He
On the
likes that Suzuki a lot.
What about Barsha?
Nah. Yeah.
I don't know. Barsha.
I like Bam Bam, but
I've been watching him work out with Joe Cancelleri as well.
I'm interested to see him and Ferrandis on the Ducati. I think
Craig
for a first year bike,
Craig
I don't know.
Them both.
You think Craig smokes them both?
Yep.
I'll put some money on that.
Okay.
I'll see you on an app. I think we all know which one.
That's on.
Well, thank you guys so much, man. I really appreciate the opportunity
for
letting us come on. We're super stoked. This is a vision my daughter and I had, and trying to set her future up by striking gold at this and just having a good time and meeting good people. And I can't thank you guys enough for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I genuinely do. Thank you.
Yeah. Stoked to have you.
I think, like, just to end it on that, Twitch made it so clear, and then it's so evident. It's like you're completely redefining a space. It's one of the most dynamic apps I've ever seen. And I think the cool thing about it is there's nothing like it in the game. So I think when people go to this thing and they see the interface, they see how easy it is to use, and then they see the capabilities it has, not only is it going to make the app better, but it's going to make the interactive viewing of these sports a lot more engaging. So I think you're going to win on both sides. You're going to win on people enjoying what they're watching more, and you're going to win on people enjoying the app a lot more. So, and just before we end, if someone wants to search it in the App Store, what would they type?
Just Betzon, Betzon.
2 words or 1 word?
1 word.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys go check out the Jaxxon Podcast Discord. You guys will see a lot of the behind the scenes, plus all the new content coming from me and Twitch and the brand new Jaxxon Sports Show. We're out.